Whether I'm doing a simple sponge cake or making an elaborate tart, I want my bacon to be the best it can be. So I always start with the best ingredients I can find.
Knowledge is crucial. The more you know personally about where your ingredients are from and how they're produced, the better.
Flour. To get the lowdown on one of the key ingredients to brilliant baking, it always pays to ask an expert. And if there's one man who can really rise to the occasion, it's professional miller, Mark Abel.
Doing a job like this means that you end up thinking and living flour. If that's obsession, I'm obsessed.
At his mill, which has stood in Norfolk since 1835, Mark uses traditional stones to grind his flour, so he really knows his stuff.
What actually comes off the field is something like this. Still husked, still needs to be processed before we can actually mill it. We then clean down to something like this, which is ready to be milled. All this is a great big machine, which means you don't have to do it by hand. Rather than try and improve its performance by adding additional chemicals, what we're trying to do is mill it in the best way to get that performance from it. If you can put a seed in between stones, you can make flour out of it. It's that simple. Barley was what was traditionally used to make bread for people to live off. Oats can be used as well. And of course, good old spelt, the great-grandmother of modern wheats, which has the most fantastic flavour and is, because of its primitive nature, the proteins in it are simpler, so a lot of people can eat that. They can't eat modern wheat. Keep your eyes on the shelves, look and see what is there, and if something strikes you as being potentially interesting, then get it and try it. Mix your own, blend your own together so that you can get the flavour that you want with the performance that you want.
Mark's right. Different flours perform and taste wildly different, and so they're well worth trying out. Here's my quick guide to some of the flours I like using. Strong flour is the one to choose for standard bread making. The higher the protein content, the crustier your loaf will be. The flour hailing from Italy, 00. It's super finely milled and perfect for pasta. I like to use it for pizzas too, because it produces a nice crispy crust like the one on my mozzarella and rosemary version. Rye flour will give you really dense, fruity flavoured bread, fruit cakes or scones. If it's too heavy for you, just mix it with standard wheat flour. And when you are baking, remember that self-raisin flour is just plain flour with raisin agents added. So if you run out, you can add baking powder and salt to your plain flour and get baking.
That's the real stuff, that's it. Fresh flour straight out the mill is so superior in flavour and performance that it's only when you come to use it you realise what the difference is.
If you're going to experiment with ingredients in baking, you still need to follow some basic rules to make sure things turn out brilliantly every time. Kicking off with my simple soda bread. First up, measure out your dry ingredients. Plain flour, wholemeal flour, salt, caster sugar, and bicarbonate of soda. Mix. Get 450 ml of buttermilk, pour most of it in and combine. Buttermilk has a wonderful, subtle sour note that gives this bread a deliciously different taste. You can get it in most of the big supermarkets. If your dough's a bit stiff, add the rest of your buttermilk. Flour your board. Gently knead the mixture for about 30 seconds until it's all combined. Dust your baking tray. Place your dough in the centre and score a deep cross with a knife to get a perfect crust. Then simply bake in a preheated oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Amazingly easy, absolutely delicious and foolproof. Hot, crusty homemade soda bread whenever you want. My next no-sweat bread recipe is even faster to make. Quick flatbreads with lemon, thyme and ricotta. For the dough mix, first slice a leek lengthwise and chop. And saute in a pan with hot olive oil and butter till tender. Season. Next, combine flour with a pinch of seasoning and olive oil. And mix in your cooked leeks. Bring the dough together in a bowl with a drop of warm water. Cover and rest for 20 minutes. Allowing the dough mixture to relax means the resulting bread will be nice and soft. Then dust the dough with flour. Mould into a sausage shape. Slice it into rounds. And flatten with a rolling pin. Then simply fry in a hot, dry pan. When golden and crisp on each side, remove. For a simple supper, serve with a cottage cheese, lemon zest, and fresh thyme. So simple, so fast, and so versatile, flatbreads to die for. Next, how to make one of the world's most popular bread-based foods fast. Mozzarella and rosemary pizza. For the pizza dough, add yeast to warm water. Put in a tablespoon of sugar and leave to one side. In a separate bowl, add sieved flour. Make a well and add your olive oil and yeast mixture. Get your hands right in to bring it together. Then knead for about 10 minutes on a floured surface until even and smooth. Put back into the bowl, cover and leave in a warm place to prove. Once it's roughly doubled in size, knock any excess air out. Place back on your surface, divide your dough into 4 balls and simply flatten. Add olive oil to a hot pan and put in the pizza dough. Pizza is usually cooked in a searingly hot oven, but this pan-cook method works brilliantly. As the dough starts to bubble and the base turns golden, spoon over tomato passata, which is sieved tomatoes. And tear in chunks of mozzarella. Then simply transfer to a hot grill until golden and bubbling. Finish with fresh rosemary. I love this classic combination, but you can easily adapt it and add your own favourite topping for a perfect pizza in minutes. So simple, so fast, so irresistible. 3 recipes that'll change the way you think about homemade bread forever.
Beautiful.
Sponge with fresh ginger.
Baking is part chemistry, part imagination. But you've got to rely on the rules for great results. It's the only time you'll see me reaching for the scales. First off, eggs, sugar, butter. And when I say weigh out the ingredients, it does literally mean weigh out to the final gram, 175. Now, 175 grams of sugar.
That's 350 grams in total.
Cream, the butter and the sugar.
To get a delicious light sponge, start carefully on slow speed. Only speed up as the butter and sugar really start to cream together.
Keep that really nice and light, and you can see how it's changed colour. So important at the beginning. Eggs in. Give them a little whisk. Adding 1 egg at a time stops the mix from separating. Second egg in. Third one in. That's what we're looking for. A really nice sort of light, aerated texture. Now, I'm going to flavour the sponge. A little teaspoon of vanilla extract. That perfumes the mix. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. That gives lightness. 175 grams of flour. And we're going to sieve it. A, to get rid of any lumps, and B, to keep it really nice and fine. 175. We're not going to beat that out. We're just going to lightly fold that in now. What I'm looking for is a really nice, loose dough. That's looking a little bit too firm, so just a little splash of milk, a couple of tablespoons. That relaxes the mixture down, helps create that nice, almost dropping consistency. That's what I want. Just starting to drop.
Take a non-stick loose bottom cake tin, grease it with butter, then coat it with flour to avoid the sponge sticking.
Just give that a little shake. Make sure we get all the rim. Now, just get the back of the spatula. Make sure you've got no peaks on my sponge.
To make sure the sponge bakes nice and evenly, Tap the tin a few times to knock out any air pockets that might have formed in the mixture.
Now, into the oven.
Bake for 30 to 35 minutes at 180 degrees.
As that's cooking, prepare the ginger cream for the centre. 300 ml of cream. Give that a nice whisk. Whisking cream by hand gives you so much more control, and it's so easy to over-whip cream. I want that nice, light ginger cream in the centre. I don't want it grainy. Nothing worse when cream starts to separate. Now, let's get into that three-quarter stage, and little stiff peaks. Stop that for 2 minutes. Fresh ginger. Now, get a really nice, large slice of ginger. It smells incredible. It's so fragrant. Peeling ginger is like sort of peeling a potato. Just take out all those little dark spots. Now, get your grater. If you haven't got a grater, you can chop the ginger really finely. I've got almost like a puree of ginger going through, but the juice as well. Take your knife and just scrape all that. Taste. It's incredible. It's fragrant, and it's not sweet. It's got that really nice taste. Set that in the fridge. It smells incredible.
Run a knife around the outside to ensure the cake doesn't stick to the tin before turning it out.
Now, get your hands under. Push up and out.
While your cake cools,
I'm gonna do like a really nice, sweet chocolate coating.
pour 300 ml of double cream into a saucepan. Add 2 tablespoons of golden syrup to make the top nice and glossy. Then whisk.
Chop this up really thinly so as it melts quickly. 50 grams of butter. That's gonna give the chocolate a really nice shine. Boil your cream and mix it in. Give that a really good stir. As the chocolate and the butter melts, it thickens. Look how shiny that is. It's so nice to finish with something sweet on top.
Topping done, time to build your sponge cake.
Look at the halfway mark there, and just gently slice. And really take your time all the way through. Lift. That is delicious. That nice big dollop in the middle. Don't be stingy, don't be tight with the cream. Another dollop on top. Spread that. Very carefully. Lift the lid and just sit that on top. That's why I start off with a little extra cream in there, so when I squash it down, the cream just pushes out to the side. I'm not finished.
Pour the luxurious chocolate topping over the sponge. Be generous and make sure the cake is coated thoroughly to give it a gorgeous finish.
Get the bottom of the ladle and spread. Whoa. One more. Whoa. You've got to know when to say stop when something looks that delicious. I just want to dive in there.